Brittany, how do I turn? Do you hear this music? Brittany, can you hear me? Okay. Do you hear music? Okay. I don't want that to happen. Hold on a second.
Hello, hello.
Yes. Did you hear music when you came in here?
I did.
But it's weird because it automatically does that. That's not the music I chose.
Oh, wow.
So we can talk about we can talk about that offline. Let me see if I actually can play music while we wait.
Okay. Well, welcome to the people on YouTube. I'm streaming from StreamYard.
Hi, everybody. We playing some K Tronada. While we wait for some people to come in. Hopefully, y'all can hear this. Hey guys. Hey Kelly. What's going on? You're here.
What up, Kelly?
I'm excited. Yes. We just playing some music while I love it. We let some people come in. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. So hype to be in this space with some beautiful people and having the opportunity to speak to Kelly Dempsey. We're going to get right into it. I'm pretty sure, some people are going to be coming in, trickling in, but I didn't want to waste any time. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Shantae. I'm the co-founder of 21 Titles, which is a consultancy firm teaching the next generation of athletes the power of using sports in combination with Web3 tech to create equity for themselves and their community. And long story less known, we do that by exposing student athletes, coaches, and parents to personal and interpersonal skills development, mentorship, and education in the realms of NIL, health and wellness, business, and entrepreneurship. I am joined this evening with my co-founder, Brittany, which I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll get right into it. So
Yes.
Go ahead, Brittany.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Shantae. My name is Brittany Wallace, second half of 21 Titles. I am a former collegiate athlete, former professional athlete, now entrepreneur, running a small health and wellness firm. I'm also an author. So, I juggle many titles as our name entails. So, just very happy to have our guest tonight, Kelly Dempsey, in the room. And I'll do a brief introduction to start off the room, Kelly. And please fill any gaps that I may have missed. But I wanted to kind of just, give you your flowers before we begin the great conversation. How does that sound?
Great. Thank you.
All right. So without further ado, we had the pleasure of first meeting Kelly Dempsey at our first community initiative at the Uptown Challenge Women's Only Tournament in Harlem this summer, and we've been cultivating a relationship with her ever since. Coach Kelly Dempsey started her basketball career at Hicksville High School, where she was a 5-year varsity starter and was an integral part of her team winning 2 Nassau County championships. From there, she played at Mount St. Mary College and led her team to a Skyline championship. After college, she helped build the NCPAL Headquarters Activity Basketball Program and is currently a basketball director for that NCPL unit. She has recently returned back to her alma mater, Hicksville High School, and serves as the head coach of the girls' varsity team. She is a clinician with the Long Island Nets and the New York Liberty, and she serves as the girls' director for the Level Up LI, a youth travel AAU basketball program offering competitive teams and training for all ages and skill levels. As an entrepreneur, Kelly is the founder of her own company, Making Waves in Women's Basketball, which showcases unsigned female basketball players in Long Island and throughout the tri-state. And she also has a sister brand, Making Waves in Sports, which is an apparel brand that currently has 4 collections out right now. The first of being Time Doesn't Stop collection, the Ladies Ball Beautifully collection, the Roots Run Deep collection, and the Indifferent collection. Above all else, Kelly, like us, is a community leader. As mentioned before, Kelly is affiliated with the Nassau County Police Activity League, where she has been a coach in their organization for over 12 years. In addition, Kelly is an advocate for the special needs community and volunteers at the Special Olympics. Kelly loves teaching the game of basketball, as well as life lessons to the next generation. And we are so glad to have you tonight. And, we're ready to dive into your story. So anything that I miss, please fill in the gaps for me, Kelly. But thank you for joining us today.
That was absolutely an incredible introduction. I feel like anytime I need an introduction, I need to call you, Brittany.
I was just trying to do you justice, Kelly. So thank you again, and I'll pass the mic over to Shantae so that she can lead the conversation.
wonderful. That was amazing. So, what I did forget to mention is that, as y'all can hear, this is New York City in the background, but what I forgot to mention is this is our Women's History Month Twitter space where we are honoring women in sports and entrepreneurship in tech, and this is our second episode. And again, we're super grateful to be here interviewing Kelly Dempsey. So we're gonna get right into it. Brittany did an amazing job really introducing everything that you are, right? Everything that you are. And so one of the questions we had was, what made you want to pick up a ball and play basketball in the first place? So can you tell us a little bit about your journey to basketball?
So my father coached, played. We had great experiences. My father used to coach camp over the summer in England. And I remember like in sixth grade going over there for a wedding. And I remember going there in ninth grade for a wedding because he had built all these relationships and connections. Like there's a picture of me not even a year old, like holding a basketball with my dad, like right behind me at a park where he was playing. So it was really just my father coached and he played. And then my mom was also like a huge sports person and just kind of like followed in those footsteps. I remember my dad was coaching the boys at Oceanside High School, and my parents put me in dance class, and up till seventh grade I did dance, and I almost got kicked out in seventh grade because I was missing for basketball. But I would be like, Dad, I want to go to basketball practice, and he's like, your mom's gonna kill me, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go to dance, so he would bring me to basketball. And I think subconsciously I was there young playing on the sidelines, but I picked up a lot from just watching. I'm a visual learner, but I also learn very well just by listening too. So I think just being there and being around it, when I was younger too, I was like, put me in, Dad. He's like, you're going to get hurt. The boys are older. So I get it, But it really has just been something since I was born. It's this, I'm around it, I'm never forced to play it, but I enjoy it and I was good at it.
Yeah, so that's hilarious with the dancing. I have a similar story, but that's funny. But so yeah, it seems like you started off really early. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to transition into becoming a coach and a clinician. Is it similar to what you mentioned about just you always being around it and being surrounded by it? Tell us a little bit about that transition.
So my senior year, I had my 5th knee surgery, and I was out with my ACL. And so after college, I was just not substitute teaching and not really doing much. And my dad coached at Hicksville on the boys' side, and the head coach on the boys' side, asked me to help with his son's DYO team, who at the time was in 6th grade. And next thing you know, I'm helping out, and one of the other parents from the team comes over and asks me, do you want to coach at the school? And I'm like, sure. So this was the church team and the Lutheran school that they went to. So I started coaching 7th to 8th grade boys. Was my first actual own coaching a team experience for me, and I loved it. Coaching has kind of changed. I chose not to continue playing basketball because I wanted to be healthy and have knees when I'm 40. So I started getting into coaching, and I'm a selfless person. So for me, going and continue to play for individual accolades didn't mean as much to me as just sharing what I have and the wealth of knowledge and just helping people. I really enjoy helping. So I feel through coaching, it's a lot of helping and teaching. And I wanted to be a teacher, but I feel basketball, I'm so passionate about it, I'd rather do that in coaching.
I love that. I love how you mentioned that you are a selfless person and really essentially wanted to give back to the youth. So Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with coaching? You said you started coaching the boys team. And I know that currently, as Brittany mentioned earlier, you're now the head coach of the girls basketball team at Hicksville. And I wanted to know if there was any difference between coaching, the boys and the girls. Like, are there any differences there?
There are a lot of differences. I'll go through my resume first. So I was a boys 7th to 8th grade coach. The 7th graders that I had, I followed through until they graduated 8th grade. And when they graduated 8th grade, they wanted to continue playing for me. So I took them, I made my own AAU team with them for the next 3 years. And at the time, we were kind of doing like more local tournaments and things like that. But at the same time, once they graduated 8th grade, I started coaching at Mineola as the assistant girls varsity basketball coach at Mineola. And I was there for 6 years. And towards the middle of my Mineola career, I actually coached girls AAU a little bit earlier than that, but then I got into another boys AAU program. Started coaching boys AAU until like right around the pandemic, I started with Level Up coaching girls. And before this year at Hicksville, the season before that, I was coaching boys JV at Lawrence High School. And I have to tell you, I really just enjoy coaching. There are differences between the girls and the boys, and it's funny because sometimes they overlap. Like at Lawrence, the boys literally took everything I said seriously, and did exactly what I told them, very literal. Girls are very literal. But I think what I've learned is until a kid or a player understands what basketball is and go with the flow of it and find what's open, they literally will just listen to what you're telling them until they understand basketball isn't just black and white, it's all these other things in between. So with boys, they just play. There's no drama. They want to win. Girls, sometimes there's a lot of heartbreak. There's a lot of sometimes crying. There's a lot of, it's just different, and for me, I played girls basketball, but I always go to the gym and play against men, and I don't care. I just want to go out and compete. Right. So I'm trying to get players just to understand that, you're on the basketball court, it doesn't matter, you're a female, male, you just go out and compete. You just have to have the skills, you just have to work hard, and you have to play every possession, and you have to make sure you want it. I can put you in and I can coach you to all the success in the world, but if you don't want it, I can't make you play.
Right. You dropped a lot of gems there.
I'm sorry, I know. No, you're right. You're right. Good. No, I was just gonna say, there's a lot to it, but there are differences between the boys and the girls, just for the little different things, sometimes boys are more athletic, sometimes it's a quicker game, but I just really think it's what they have, what tools that they have, because sometimes they might be missing things, and they just need those little tips and tricks to be able to get to where they're supposed to be as that basketball player.
Nah, you're absolutely right. We actually had a similar conversation with Tiny last week, because she too coaches, men. So it's just very interesting to hear your point of view regarding that. So,
let me just say this: I'll go play against men. I played pickup today against men, and to me, it's if I'm on the court, I'm a basketball player.
Right?
Don't apologize for knocking me over. When I'm playing it, I'm just a basketball player. I'm on the court. I'm a basketball player. Whatever setting I go into playing basketball, you're a basketball player. So that's my perspective of playing basketball. So I expect anyone I coach or anyone I'm around or whoever plays with me to have that same mentality. You're a basketball player. You're on the basketball court. You play basketball.
That's a fact.
Should it be you're a female, I'm a male? No. Anyone who knows how to play basketball can play basketball.
That's a fact.
Right. Absolutely. And this is a beautiful segue into me really asking about your sports journey and your journey as a student athlete. Earlier in this conversation, you mentioned, you had some injuries. and things of that nature. And just with the whole student athlete ecosystem right now, we believe that it's super important for I call them OGs, but people that have play sports, are done playing sports, to come back and tell their stories and their journeys to the youth. So can you tell us a little bit about just your journeys in basketball from early on, from 6, 7, 8 years old all the way up until college?
I mean, like I said, I've been playing since I can remember, since under a year old. I played CYO in Levittown, and I was the tallest girl on the team. It's a really funny picture. It's like literally I'm 2 feet above everybody, and everyone else is at my waist. It's the funniest picture. But then I played there probably about till 7th grade. In 7th grade, they wanted to pull me up to varsity, but my parents just felt like I wasn't ready. So in 8th grade, I started on varsity, and you have to pass the physical fitness test. Just in New York, just so people know, you have to go to the doctor and get cleared, and then you have to pass certain things of the physical fitness test to be able to play JV or varsity. So I was able to pass all those things, and I practiced a lot. My dad had me at the track. My dad had me, going over like everything that we're going to need to do, and I don't have a lot of upper body strength. So for me, that was, a crucial thing that I was trying to practice. I started as an 8th grader through my senior year of high school. We had a really good team. There was about 8 girls the year ahead of me, and we had a 2,000-point scorer, a 1,000-point scorer, myself. We had a D1 soccer player. We just had athletes, and our coaches coached us very well. When I went into between 9th and 10th grade, I had my first ACL injury, and I came back really, really strong. I was out for mid-season, so I had surgery in the summer, and then I came back mid-January, and I actually came back earlier than 6 months.
Right.
And listen to your doctors, but I hate this 9-month thing for an ACL, because I came back super strong with that ACL. The thing that we learned later on was, after my senior year, I had a torn meniscus. So going into my freshman year of college, I had torn meniscus. We later found out that the meniscus was torn when they did the ACL, but they never fixed the meniscus. So I could have avoided my next meniscus surgery. So I had meniscus surgery going into my freshman year, and recovered, and then literally 3 weeks later, my meniscus torn again. So I had another meniscus surgery going into my freshman year. So I was out of shape. I was coming back from the 2 surgeries my freshman year. I knew I wasn't going to see the floor. And my sophomore year, my junior year, I was great. I killed it in practice. The coach never wanted to give me any playing time. I, worked my ass off to where my teammates were like, "Why are you still on the team? Like, he doesn't even treat you like he should. Like, you deserve to." So he did play favorites, but my junior year championship game, I was itching to go in. I don't remember, but my parents said after the game, I said I was almost going to put myself in, and now I remember it. But literally, I knew I could add value to the game. He put me on with about 8 minutes left, and I had like a block, a steal, a rebound, an assist. I think I scored. I might have hit a foul shot. The other team, the whole time I was in, didn't even score. So we won that. We went to the NCAA championship, tournament almost every year. He put me in the NCAA tournament. My teammate messed up, and I went in for like 30 seconds. He pulled me right back out. But I was like, that was Amanda's fault. That wasn't my fault. And, unfortunately, I got the blame for that. Going into senior year, he's trying to start me in college. 4th day of practice, tear my other ACL. And then that was when I said, okay, I had an opportunity to go play a redshirt year, and I could have played overseas because I was that good. But I chose health over right now, the moment. Like when you're in the moment, sometimes you're just like, I want that. Whereas I was thinking future, like what is best long term. And for me, like, that was that. And I'm glad I made that decision, because I wouldn't have done all these things that I have done coaching. I don't even know what my life would have looked like if I continued playing. But I always tell people the first ACL surgery I had, I feel like was crucial to my personality, because I felt like I was almost being like that, like mean girl, where, like, I could have wanted all the attention, and like just not the person I am now. And that knee surgery kind of gave me a whole different perspective on life. And I'm an only child, so my parents were devastated, and I felt like, they're upset, but why should I be upset? Like, I'm going to be fine. I worked super hard. I went to all my practices for volleyball. I also played varsity volleyball from 8th grade to 12th grade. And I went to all my practices for volleyball, all my practices for basketball. I did physical therapy with the trainer at the practices. And then I went to my own physical therapy. And then I would do exercise at home. My parents were super supportive, like, talk about sports system. My dad's my assistant coach now with a lot of stuff. He helps out at Hicksville. He helps me in the AAU. My mom is always doing my book. They're traveling to the AAU tournaments with me. Like, the support system, whether I'm hurt, whether I'm coaching, whether I'm playing, like, they always show up, And it's not just being an only child. It's just that's who they are. Like, they are supportive. They would bring one of my teammates home from college because she didn't always have a ride. She never usually really had a ride. So they would bring her home, drop her off, like, bring her out to dinner with us, eat. Like, they just include everybody. So, like, I'm very grateful because I'm the person that I am now because of basically how they've raised me, but also the support system that I've had, like, going through all the things that I went through. And when I played AAU back in the day, I'll also say I switched CYO when I started 8th grade. Going into high school, half of our team played at one church in Hicksville, and the other half played at another church in Hicksville. So it was literally like do or die. Like, it was like Battle of Hicksville. Like, who's going to win the game? Half our team played on one, half the team played on another, and it got ugly sometimes. You had a really good player against another really good player. Then you had some of our post players with the best player on our team. The other player had, like, good pieces around her. And it was kind of like, it wasn't like who's the better team, but you want to compete. Even though we're all on the same team, when we go against each other, we're competing. So that was fun, but sometimes a little, what's the word? Dramatic. And then playing AU growing up, like, our team was really good, and we played against Silver Bulls almost all the time, and they both had Aisha Walker and Gabby Gibson on it. So, and I played against Sammy Perhalis in high school. I played against Epiphany Prince in high school. So we're talking about legitimate WNBA players, legitimate overseas. Like, Aisha Walker played for Dawn Staley at South Carolina. Bria Hartley, I played her twice in the Long Island Championship, lost to her both times in the Long Island Championship. We were 2-time Nassau County champs, and unfortunately we couldn't get either one of them against Bria Hartley. But, I had a phenomenal career, and I'm very thankful because I had the pieces around me to do it. And again, it was a team effort. It wasn't individual. And a lot has changed since I last played. But when I did play AAU too, like, it got a little bit questionable with my coach at times. When I had the ACL surgery, I was just as good as some of the other players on our team, but he, after the ACL surgery, wouldn't really give me a lot of time. And then a couple of other AU teams picked me up for nationals to go play with them, and I would outplay their whole team. So it was like an interesting experience. And my father, like, he, as much as he coaches, he sent me to every trainer. I had a post trainer. I had a female trainer, Bethany LaSour. If you don't know who that is, go look her up, please. Record holder, New York record holder, college record holder. So I had a shooting coach, John Randazzo, who played in Italy, who played for my father at Oceanside. Bethany LaSour. I had Mooch, a post trainer. I went to Jason Hernandez, who's now the assistant coach for the Hornets. and then I would go to Ross sometimes. So I literally had a whole bunch of trainers. Oh, I trained with Pizza Roan. I trained with oh my gosh, Michelle O'Brien. Like, I literally, my father would take me to everybody. He's like, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to go pay for you to listen to people and learn from them. So it was a lot of basketball, and I loved it. A lot of basketball. But, you know, it helped me, the type of coaching, the type of support system. I was taught. It was like going to school. Like, I was taught how to play basketball. And I think we got to get back to that teaching for, like, this generation, because there's not as much teaching. You guys should have stopped me at some point.
No, because you was dropping
Preach.
Preach. I'm going to recap all the gems, because we're definitely going to have, you know, coaches and student athletes listening, and parents. And so some of the things that you talked about, right? And this is a perfect segue into making waves in women's basketball. We're going to get to that, but, you know, you talked about essentially setbacks, right? Like injuries, and how essentially that builds character, and you know, you thinking beyond the sport, right? You said you was thinking about the future, where, you know, that's not the case for many student athletes, which is also important to point out. And then you also mentioned the fact that you had really supportive parents, and we see that that obviously has flowed over to the community work that you do with making waves in women's basketball. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what you are doing and have been doing in making waves in women's basketball. And then also, if you could touch on, because you just mentioned how a lot has changed since you last played, right? Played AAU basketball, and the things that we need to get back to with the youth currently. So I wanted to know if you can hit that topic as well.
So, what was the first thing that you said? I just forgot. No. Making waves in women's basketball. Okay. Yeah. So I coach a lot of players, and like, they were coming to me. I'm not being recruited. Like, my AU coach isn't helping me. You know, I'm really looking to go somewhere next year and play. And so I had girls that I trained. I had girls that played for me at Mineola. I went to a Brooklyn Nets camp. I was working Brooklyn Nets camp. Somebody there was asking me, or was telling me her story, how she's looking to transfer. And then I saw a girl when I was working in Philadelphia 76ers camp who was so athletic, but wasn't even thinking college, looking at college to play. And I'm like, you can play. So I saw this need of all of these girls that I knew personally, that I've run into, who needed help with their recruitment. And I just wanted a way to connect college coaches to players, or to get the exposure for the players through a platform. And my belief is just like, you have to pay for so much in this world. AAU, you have to pay so much for it, for the travel. I wanted something that was free for girls, to give them some exposure, to help them a little bit more with their college recruitment. So I think I started about 2 years ago now. I started off of Instagram, and my cousin said, no problem, I make you a website. And I literally figured out how to format and everything, and all the posting I do myself, like creating the videos I do myself, just to help the players. Again, like, I can't coach 10 teams, you know, but if I could do a little something to help somebody get a little bit more exposure and help them, I'm going to try to do it. So every Wednesday, I'll be posting a new female athlete, basketball player, just to help them get a little bit more exposure. And I've had anybody from like 7th grade up to seniors, up to college transfers, up to LaShonda Monk, who played at Ole Miss, trying to go pro. So, you know, I'm just really trying to push it out there. We have some clothing on Making Waves in women's basketball as well. I just say try to buy something to support, since it's a free exposure website for the girls. And then, yeah.
That's fire. And I feel like other things that you do, provide, I'm just going to go in more detail, but like every couple of months ago, maybe every Wednesday, was it? Or no, on Tuesday, you would have Tuesday Talks and you would have free resources, downloadable information to not only student athletes, but also parents. Like, he was giving some real heavy information that a lot of student athletes and parents are paying for now. So, first of all, that's amazing, right? And truly shows that you are a community leader. But yeah, like
the other thing too is on the website there is a resource tab which gives you I think it's like how to choose your college. It's like 4 different resources that each have a lot of information on the pages if you go look through them. So if parents want to, they could look, breaking it down, like if you play NCAA Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, these are like the scholarships you might get, like money or not money, academic money, athletic money, just like the different areas of like where you can play. So it does have resources on there in addition to the girls that I post. And for anyone like looking for players, I also post them by state and country. So if you're looking for somebody in New York, you can find them. If you're looking for somebody from Connecticut, you can find them. So it's kind of broken down in a different way too, where if you want to see location-wise where a player's from to recruit that way, you can.
Oh.
Amazing. Just a one-stop shop to find these female student athletes. I love it. Since we've been talking about all the, just, your journey, what's a couple of things, or, if you could provide some advice to student athletes and your younger self, right, now that you're a grown adult, what would you say? What advice would you give yourself, and what advice do you give current student athletes now?
So I think what I would say to current student athletes now is don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to you, because I was not always the fastest, especially after the knee surgery and then the second, third, fourth, fifth knee surgery. So you have to learn how to make up for that in different ways. So I was very good at like figuring out what my ability was and be able to do the best with my ability. It might not be running the fastest. It might not be, guarding on the ball, a guard. But I would be vocal and I would grab every single rebound and I would box out 2 people and I would, just do the little things that I could do to make everyone else better. And I think there's a lot of individual, like I went to individual training, but I think now everyone goes to individual training, and individual training is phenomenal. However, you also need to understand team concepts and how to learn plays and how to rotate different defenses. So one-on-one training is phenomenal, but if you can't play within a team, because ultimately basketball is a team sport, you're not going to be successful. Back then to myself, I guess maybe I would say like you're capable of more than you think, because at times I was just defense and I didn't really want the offense. And I played within a team and I played well within a team, but I think, everyone always encouraged me a little bit more to take more opportunities for myself, being a selfless person. So I feel like to my younger self, I would say be a little bit more selfish while still playing within the team. I think that's what I would say.
I love that. Brittany, did you have any questions, since I can keep going?
No, keep going. No, I'm sitting back enjoying the conversation. Go ahead.
So, obviously we all know, the NIL, name, image, and likeness, is now a thing where student athletes in high school and in college in certain jurisdictions are now able to monetize off of their name, image, and likeness, right? And there's been a lot, as of late, within the last 2 weeks, we've reported, Brittany and I have been talking about how a lot of schools have been facing infractions or getting like these memos from the NCAA, and the NCAA having to like step in. And at the end of the day, I think we all know that a lot has been going on under the table for years. But long story less long, I wanted to know how you felt about student athletes now being able to monetize their name, image, and likeness and get paid. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
So I think it's phenomenal, but I think the key part that's missing is teaching the kids what is appropriate. So in my mind, I don't think any kids should do anything except give exposure to themselves, meaning post your accolades, academic and athletic, post your game film, and don't necessarily speak to anybody unless you have somebody present. Like whether you get your lawyer or whether you get your agent. I think kids now just say almost yes to everything or go to everything or here's another opportunity. Meanwhile, that opportunity might not be appropriate. I think if you think and look at it from a basketball standpoint, you're where it's like tunnel vision, like I'm just here playing basketball, I'm just here playing basketball, I'm just here playing basketball. You're going to kind of weed out those things. And I think in today's world, everything is so accessible. Like, kids think they need to be available and respond quickly. And everything is right, like 5 seconds, right? Like Amazon, they'll literally deliver like overnight. So it's here at 11 a.m. I think that's kind of turned it bad because there's no patience. There's no let me think about it and respond back at a later time. I think they go with what's now and the trend rather than what's going to be like the best for my future.
That is such a good point, and that is something that Brittany and I talk about often. Brittany and I talk about how, when we grew up playing basketball, we were basketball focused. Like we weren't, we had laser vision, to say the least, when it came to sports. And the ecosystem is just so different now. And, when we played, we didn't have all of these social media platforms, in our face all the time. But yeah, no, I agree with what you mentioned. To that end, I wanted to know, with the advancement of just the student athlete experience, how important is it for student athletes to think beyond the sport today?
I think that's really important. And I think some colleges do a good job of like preparing them for things like that because I've seen their social media, right? So like colleges post a lot now. They're doing a lot of social media on their end for the kids. So I think the kids understand this is what I have to do. This is, I have a college player that plays Division I, and she's always talking about all these meetings that she has on top of practice and the information that they're sending them and teaching them. But it's different, right, when the college is no longer there or when they're in the off season or, the people that they're asking don't get back to them quick enough. When they're on their own, it's hard for them to judge. I'm a huge, listen, I don't have kids. I'm single, but my parents never gave me an option. They just said, this is what's happening. They asked me what I liked, what I wanted to do, but like I didn't want to do dance and I was still in dance. So my parents literally would ask me what I liked, what I didn't like, what I wanted, but ultimately made the decision. Mm-hmm. I feel like now parents are not making the decisions for their children. The children are now making the decisions, and that usually hurts them in the long run, in their future, because they can't foresee like 5 years from now. If you're an 18-year-old you're a 16-year-old, you can't look 5 years into the future. You can't look 10 years into the future. So I think they really just... The players now need guidance, whether it's from a coach, whether it's from an agent, whether it's from their family, whether it's from, who knows, alumni. They need that guidance and people to tell them this is how it should be operating. And when you focus on the basketball, you just become the best you can be, and then everybody will be knocking at your door, and then that's not your issue to worry about. But I think, I had a lot of opportunities come to me just because of how I operated or just what I did, and they just came one after another. I never expected to be where I'm at or never thought these things would happen. I was like, I'm going to be a teacher, and that's not the case. So I think if you just stay focused in that tunnel vision, you have those support system and the guidance from the people, and your colleges are giving you like good information, or you're going to 21 titles, getting information. I think kids just have to be safer, where they're not acknowledging things, or they're, taking their time. There's no rush, on going forward with an NIL or something, because that can ultimately ruin your whole career.
Right.
That's a fact. I love the fact that you mentioned just, slowing down and having both parents and coaches kind of help direct student athletes. I feel like, and I think Brittany and I have talked about this before, just how sometimes what we realize is like some coaches have also allowed kind of the student athlete to kind of navigate or direct just how their experience is going to work with the coach. At one point, like when we were younger, very similar to what you mentioned about how I don't have kids either, right? How you mentioned your parents will ask you, right, like what you're interested in and things of that nature, but they also ultimately make the decision, right? In certain circumstances, we're also seeing that that's happening even with coaches, kind of like, I say all that to say, like, the ecosystem is so different, and we're seeing not only student athletes having to adjust, but coaches having to adjust. We just seen what happened with Jim Boeheim, and, him having to adjust to, just the new sports ecosystem is also interesting to watch. But, with just educational tools and having these conversations and talking about, our journeys and giving advice and information to student athletes and their parents and coaches is just really important, so that essentially nobody's left behind, right? And that we're all on the same page and ultimately doing what's best for these student athletes. And it can all get kind of discombobulated with all of the information and things going on social media and things of that nature. Brittany, do you have any questions? No. Any questions you want to ask Kelly?
No questions, but I just like the fact that I usually say this, right? Like, the student athletes and the parents should have a team of people around them helping them navigate the water. So essentially Kelly just kind of like touched on that, and I'm grateful that she spoke about that, because I think that's very, very important, especially now, right? Like, just having guidance and people who've been through this before helping you out. So thank you for mentioning that, Kelly.
No, I mean, it's important, but at the same time, too, I deal with some players and parents where I'm giving them, right, my professional experience and advice, and they do what they want with it. Like, they might not listen to me.
Right.
In a couple of months, they might be like, you're right. Like, I should have listened. So as much as, we want to share that and be that support system and guidance, they don't always want to take it from the professionals. So it's a tough situation, right? Because ultimately, like, for some families, I'm not as super close to them as I am other families, so they don't know how to take it, and they don't realize if you're not in the basketball world coaching, if you haven't been in it for a while with your child, you don't know the operations of it. So you don't know, like, if you contact that coach contacts this coach, and now I'm being contacted, and now I already know like 2 other coaches that you went through a channel of. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just saying, like, you could have just came to me and avoided all of that, and I could have gave you the same information that you got from going to that coach that came to this coach to now is coming back to me. Because we do all know each other.
Right.
Exactly. I just wanted to give you the opportunity, Kelly, to talk about what you're doing now, what you want to promote, especially with your brand, with Making Waves, and talk a little bit about that, and promote anything else you want to promote who may listen to this.
So right now, I just kind of more so pushed out. I already launched it, but I've been doing more of a push out for Making Waves Sports. The handle for that is at MW Sports Brand on all social. I just decided I have a lot of nice design details for basketball, and why not put that out there on clothing? So currently, like you said in the beginning, we have 4 collections right now. We have Time Doesn't Stop, so neither do I, with a phenomenal basketball clock logo with the infinity sign. And then we have Ladies Well Beautifully. We have a very creative Roots Run Deep that I was going for like an N1 type feel, with a basketball tree, and the backboard is the top of the tree, and the roots are down, Roots Run Deep. And if you go on the website, makingwavesports.com, there's kind of like a little bit information about each one. The other one we have is Indifferent for referees. The stripes are the pattern in the word indifferent. And then I have Make It Rain that is going to be coming soon. I just posted the design up and out, and there's a lot more designs that I want to do that I feel like will be a little bit kind of a genius, and also like I want to make people think. So some of my designs might make people think, and be more educational as well. I just love the game of basketball, so any way that I could try to spread that out there, that's what I'm trying to do. So Making Waves Sports Brand is something that you should look at MW Sports Brand, makingwavesports.com. In addition, we talked about it earlier, Making Waves in women's basketball, Making Waves INWB.com. The handle is at Making Waves in WB. Check out players there. So, you know, I also would like to, for my Making Waves Sports Brand, I want to put out videos about like my thought process of a design, of each design, how I came up with it, what the full meaning is, besides what I have on the website. So that's something else that I'm looking forward to doing soon.
Fire.
I love it. I love the creativity. It just shows that, you know, beyond the sport, we wear different hats, right? And we do different things. We love.
I never thought I was going to own a business.
Come on,
Ever.
Talk about it. You're a business owner, right? And that's the beautiful thing, right? Like at the core of it all is basketball, but then it spins off into so many different things. We're multifaceted people, right? And you just never know. You've met, I mean, you talked about all the amazing people you've worked with, you've coached with. That has turned into, I'm sure, you know, lifelong relationships and friendships, and now potential business partners and people that can assist you with things. So basketball is at the core, but it turns into so many other beautiful things.
It does, and the biggest part is the relationships. Like, I'm huge on relationships. I have players that played for me in 7th grade that are in college now, and I'm still in touch with them. You know, like, relationships are the biggest thing. You guys, like, always in touch with you guys. Like, I was on the phone with a college coach today. Like, I'm just connections, relationships. Relationships are key. Like, I had such good relationships, like, with my support system and my high school coaches to this day. I still talk to. Relationships, you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to play with, play against, be in the same, I don't know, job at. Like, you really never know. A lot of people find themselves circling back in later years of life.
Right. Right.
That's a fact. Another gem dropped, and I hope that no, but it's true. Like, that's so needed, right? Because we talked about just interpersonal and personal skills development, right? That's important for kids to understand early on, right? Like, sometimes you get laser focused on the sport, or even in college, right? Like, I'm laser focused on the sport. I need to get to, I gotta go work out. I gotta go to practice. But making those connections with people on your campus, making connections with, your teachers in high school, are really important.
I want to share two things. One thing I want to share is that a story. So I have twins that play at two different colleges. The twin was visiting her other twin at a D1 college. A girl that I put on Making Waves was looking for colleges, right? So she talked to a JUCO coach who was like, I'm going to send, you're a D1 player, D2 player, I'm going to send you to this place for a workout. She ended up, now they don't know each other, but I know the twins and this girl on my website, Making Waves Women's Basketball. She ended up going to the college where one of the twins goes, and the other twin was visiting her. And I found out that she was going there, and I didn't say anything to the twins, but afterwards I said, oh, what did you think of her, blah, blah, blah. They were like, oh, you know her? I'm like, yeah, like, she's on my website. I told the girl that went there, I said, oh, you played with the twins, blah, blah, blah. So, like, you might not even know somebody, but you, like, once removed. Like on LinkedIn, there's like once removed, twice removed, like second connection, third connection. Like, there's all these people that you might not know, but know each other too. I forget that the other thing I was going to say. But no, relationships are very important.
No, big time. Big time. I love that story. You never know who knows who. So it behooves you, right, to meet as many people as you can and be as kind as you can.
And I think just being genuine, like when you go to an AAU tournament and you have college coaches watching you, like, just be the person that you want to be. You might have flaws. Everybody has flaws. Everybody has weaknesses. But if you act like the person you want to be and you're positive, those things will come to you. And people will notice it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's been a lot of gems. Okay?
Gem dropping.
But we are super grateful and thankful to, of course, be able to share this space with you and give you your flowers because, like Brittany mentioned earlier in this episode, we met Kelly this past summer, and it was very apparent to us very early on just the work that Kelly really does and how she pours into the community. That's something that speaks to us, and things that we find important, right? We find community to be important. We find integrity to be important, and values to be important. And yeah, we just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing, not only in the women's space but also the men's space, right? And mentoring and coaching, and just being an example for student athletes. So, want to say again, you for just coming in here, and we're super grateful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I do want to add two things. So, one, I want to add there's another difference between boys and girls. Girls, I don't know how to explain it, but you're just like an older sister sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, that's a bad example, but you're just like, it's different with a female. Whereas with the boys, they would literally treat me like as if I was their mother. To where, like, if they knew they disappointed me, it's like disappointing mom, and they're gonna get the eyes, and they're gonna get the voice. Like, literally, one time, one of the boys something. He didn't show up to practice for like a week and a half, and he wouldn't answer my calls, my texts. Like, I had to tell the other kids, like, make sure he comes to the last game. We're taking a team picture. And after the game, he's like, I'm so sorry, coach. He was like, I didn't want to disappoint you by showing up. I didn't want to disappoint you, so I wasn't going to show up. That's what he said. I didn't want to disappoint you, so I wasn't going to show up. And I said, I would be more disappointed if you didn't show back up and you weren't here for the team picture and you didn't finish the season out. And literally, like, the boys, I think, appreciate a female around them because they're around a lot of females. I feel like men are raised by a lot of women, boys are raised by a lot of women, and different cultures as well. You know, you're surrounded by a lot of women, females usually. And, you know, one of them opened up to me on the bench in the middle of a game after halftime, like that his grandmother passed away, and he was playing off, and I knew he was playing off, and I'm like, something's going on, it's not right. And they subbed him out of the game because he started the second half off, and I don't know, to be honest, if he would have ever said anything to anyone else. But I was there, I had a good relationship with him, I'm a female, you know, I'm caring, so he was able to be like, my grandmother just passed away. And so I now go tell the head coach, the assistant, like, I don't know if he's going to be able to play the rest of the game. This is what's going on. And obviously everybody understood, but it is very different. Like, being a female on the men's side, they look up to you almost like more respectfully in a higher role as a female, you know?
Right.
Like, they literally feel like, at least in my case, like the players that I coach, you know, like it's mom. It's like the aunt that's not going to let anything fly, you know, like the hammer's laid down when we do things the wrong way.
No, that resonates because, like I mentioned, like when we spoke to when we spoke to Corinne last week, she mentioned the same thing, right? Like, similar to what you just shared, you know, she shared that some of the men that she coaches, you know, come to her, and they're more open to being, to tapping into their emotions, to say the least. Yeah. In comparison to how they would be with their head coach, who happens to be, you know, a man. So no, that seems to be right on par with, you know, what we've received from Corinne last week. It's just
but I think it's a healthy thing. I think it's really good.
Absolutely. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Coach Kelly?
Yeah.
All right. Brittany, do you have any final words? Because I know it's 8 o'clock. It's a Friday. I don't want to keep anybody too long, but this has been amazing. We touched on different things.
I just want to say to the two of you guys, thank you so much, because you two, like, from day one, like, clicked, and I absolutely love the stuff you're doing. Oh, I also want to say this. This is all I want to say. We forgot one thing. I did a couple of open runs over last summer with Blake Gaston and Emma Clancy, which is where Shantae actually emailed me and was like, I want to meet. I love what you're doing. And so she had come down to one of the open runs, and we had like girls high school players in there, girls college players, every level, high level though, but like D1, D2, D3, high level high school players. We had the South Shore girls in there. We did a couple open runs, put together some video on YouTube, and it was a great thing. People are still asking me, you got runs, and hopefully we're going to be able to do more this summer and in the spring, and kind of like just make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, y'all definitely have some real talent out there. Who are these kids?
And some of them were city kids.
Yeah, and that's what I've come to learn, and they're really, really, really good. So it was really good to just, you know, be in that space and watch some talent that I wasn't even aware of, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, hopefully y'all do some more because I would love to come out. Like, obviously Shantae said growing up we were like gym rats. So I am always open to come in and sit around and kind of just watch basketball. That's something I've done and that's something I would love to continue to do. But just again, Kelly, just want to send deepest gratitude and appreciation to everything that you're doing. You know, looking forward to collaborating more with you in the future, whether that be with these open runs or with some apparel, because loving the designs that you're coming out with for sure. So again, just everything that you're doing, we appreciate, and we just wanted to make sure that we got a chance to get your story down and recorded so that we have something to look back on, because we know that you're going to continue to do great things in the community. So thank you again.
No, thank you. And I appreciate you guys a lot. Like, thank you for having me. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for acknowledging the women in basketball and Women's History Month. Like, you guys are doing a great job just as much as I am.
All right. And with that,
thank you so much. And if no one has questions, I'm going to close.
I'm glad you didn't call me out yet.
Oh, so everybody, Kelly's birthday is Sunday. Okay, Kelly's birthday is Sunday, so we want to wish Kelly a happy birthday, a restful birthday. You deserve the rest.
Right.
That ties in right with health and wellness, which is Brittany's everything.
Yes,
okay, so
yes.
we want to wish Kelly a happy, healthy, and restful birthday.
That's a fact.
You want to share any plans you have, or like, what do you have planned for your birthday?
So actually, on my birthday, I have a practice and a playoff game.
Oh wow!
But in between that, I will be either going out to eat or doing something. I love balloons. I have this crazy obsession with balloons. So maybe I'll go buy myself a balloon. My parents usually buy me like a bouquet of balloons. Like, I have a really crazy obsession with balloons. Like, I love balloons more than I love money. Like, everybody loves money, right? Everybody loves money. I get more excited about balloons. Like, you get me a balloon, best thing in the world. Like, literally, best thing in the world.
Noted.
Right.
We gonna have our thing. So, okay, balloons are your thing. I love it.
So, like, I feel like I just love balloons. Like, if I have to go buy balloons for, like, senior night, or, like, if my birthday's coming up, and the bigger or, like, the fancier or, like, the cooler the balloon is, or the unique the balloon is, like, phenomenal. Love it.
Fire.
I love it. I love it.
But no, I think I'm going to dinner tomorrow night. I did some celebrating yesterday, going to an orchid show. I try to do one thing every year by myself, for myself. So that was yesterday, going to the orchid show, going out to eat by myself, almost like dating yourself, but for your birthday.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love it.
I love it. Okay, well, we wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you guys.
We hope you enjoy. And thanks for reminding me, because I definitely would have. My memory is not as sharp as Brittany's, but thank you everyone for tuning in. Even if you're hearing this at a later time, Kelly dropped a lot of gems this evening, so this is valuable information now and in the future. So make sure to listen to this on the replay. And as always, we will next week be having, I believe, Apollonia come in for our third episode of our Twitter series, where we are essentially giving flowers to women during Women's History Month that are making strides in sports, business, entrepreneurship, and tech. And so, yeah, we're going to continue having our Twitter series next Friday at 7 p.m. We're going to be interviewing Apollonia. She talks a little bit about what she's doing in the tech space and et cetera, but definitely catch us next Friday. And again, thank you, Kelly, for coming in here and speaking to us. And I'm going to close the room shortly. I'm going to let some music play, but thank y'all again for tuning in, and have a great night.
Thank you both. And let me give you your flowers, because you guys are doing such a good job. And happy Women's History Month.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. right, y'all. Peace.
I couldn't find Tiny's book last week, but here it is. If y'all can see that. Tiny setbacks for a major comeback. We interviewed her last week. This week we interviewed Kelly Dempsey. This is also my book, Groundwork 29. You can get this on Amazon.com. But thank you, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.